This is the Mind the Gap podcast from the Time Signal Limited. It's presented by Michael Comyn. Please like, subscribe and share with your friends. Programme notes and more information are available on mindthegap.ie. Here's Michael.
Hello. Well, have you heard of the frequency illusion, sometimes called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon? It's a cognitive bias in which we notice a specific concept, word or product more frequently after recently becoming aware of it. You see a red car, you see red cars everywhere. It's also often how the topic of a podcast manifests itself. This week, I encountered not one, but three people who all share a common characteristic: that of behaving like a man-child. I met one, then kept noticing others. Let me draw you into my frequency illusion. Think of Donald Trump having a tantrum. You too will see others who find it difficult to manage themselves and their emotions for the rest of the day. When we imagine leaders, we typically think of qualities like decisiveness, wisdom, and resilience. Someone who can see the big picture, make tough calls, and guide a team forward. But real life sometimes gives us a different version of leadership. For every mature, balanced leader, there's one who seems stuck, unable to handle feedback, shifting blame, or demanding constant praise. Some call this type of leader the man-child. While the term man-child often evokes images of a male leader with immature tendencies, let's be clear, women in leadership positions can display these characteristics too. So, as we explore this archetype, we're talking about both the man-child and woman-child, any leader who, instead of guiding their team with maturity, seems to cling to their inner child. Before diving deeper, let's talk briefly about Carl Jung, the influential thinker behind the concept of the eternal child. Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist born in the late 19th century and is one of the founding figures of modern psychology. He believed in the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of experiences and images, archetypes, that shape human behaviour. Unlike his contemporary Sigmund Freud, who focused mainly on individual psychology, Jung argued that we all carry universal archetypes within us, such as the hero, the wise person, and the focus of today's episode, the child. These archetypes are symbolic patterns that influence our emotions and actions, and they're present in every culture, story, and dream. For Jung, the child archetype represents the part of us that longs for innocence, imagination, and freedom from responsibility. When balanced, it keeps our sense of wonder alive. And when it's unchecked, when we resist growing up, it creates what he called the eternal child, an adult who clings to childish behaviour, seeking constant approval and avoiding accountability. In the workplace, when leaders lean too heavily into this childlike side without integrating maturity, it results in impulsive, dependent, and even volatile behaviour that disrupts their lives and, unfortunately, those they lead. Carl Jung believed that the eternal child lives within each of us, a part that seeks to maintain youth, freedom, and endless possibility. It dislikes responsibility and longs for a carefree existence. This archetype is essential to our humanity, but it can create stagnation if allowed to dominate. Jung described the eternal child as
always ready to live in dependence and hoped for the impossible.
This behaviour can lead people in leadership roles to resist maturity, ignore responsibility, and demand admiration without trying to grow. When this shows up in a leader, it results in someone who might avoid accountability, react emotionally to feedback, and lean on others to handle problems rather than address issues head-on. Immature leadership isn't always about men, though, and applies equally to women in leadership who fall into a similar pattern of behaviour. We've all encountered leaders, whether men or women, who fit this mould, who act impulsively, dodge responsibility, and rely on praise to fuel their fragile self-esteem. To illustrate this idea, let's consider former US President Donald Trump. Regardless of political stance, Trump's leadership style showcases characteristics of the eternal child archetype. He often responds to criticism with defensiveness, leaned heavily on a select few for validation, and reacted impulsively to challenges. Trump exemplifies what Jung might describe as a person caught in the grips of the eternal child, unable to fully embrace the demands of true, balanced maturity. Jung, warning about the eternal child, captures this well.
The child archetype represents the preconscious. The undifferentiated element seeks to grow into individuality.
Leaders who don't complete this growth journey often rely on others to restore their sense of self. They may avoid challenging conversations and surround themselves with yes men and women to avoid discomfort. What does it take to grow out of the eternal child? According to Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, effective leadership is rooted in self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. Goleman argues that the fundamental task of leaders is to prime good feelings in those they lead. Leaders who lack emotional intelligence create stress and instability, often leaving their team feeling overextended and undervalued. An immature leader, regardless of gender, may lack self-regulation, react poorly to critique, or demand loyalty over competence. They might form cliques or play favourites, and when things go wrong, they tend to deflect blame. This behaviour can lead to a high-stress environment where employees feel unsupported and hesitant to take risks or innovate. By contrast, emotionally intelligent leaders can build strong relationships, guide their teams with empathy, and foster a sense of security and purpose. Well, on this podcast, we like to occasionally refer to the Stoics, and here they are again now, emphasising self-mastery, rationality, and emotional control. Qualities the eternal child often lacks. Epictetus famously said,
"No man is free who is not master of himself."
Leaders who cannot regulate their emotions crave constant validation or react impulsively, and are bound by their lack of inner discipline. The Stoics would see this as a failure in leadership maturity, resulting in a chaotic workplace that lacks stability and clear direction. How's your frequency illusion doing? For those working under a man-child or woman-child in leadership, here are some practical strategies to navigate this dynamic and preserve well-being and professionalism. These approaches can help you manage the turbulence, focus on growth, and positively influence the work environment. Number 1, cultivate self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman's research shows that self-awareness and emotional intelligence are vital when dealing with unpredictable leaders. An immature leader's outbursts or arbitrary demands can stir up frustration. Still, with emotional intelligence, you're better equipped to respond calmly. Start by observing your own emotional responses. What situations make you feel devalued or stressed? This self-awareness allows you to pause and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. After complex interactions, reflect on your feelings. Ask yourself, what was within my control? This process builds resilience, helping you navigate challenging leadership without being pulled into their emotional chaos. Number 2, set clear boundaries. Immature leaders may and indeed will overstep boundaries, especially regarding workload or your personal time. Boundaries are essential for maintaining both mental and emotional well-being. Setting boundaries may feel challenging, but it's possible to do so respectfully. For example, if they assign a last-minute task outside work hours, politely express your priorities and offer to handle it during business hours. If after-hours communication is frequent, gently assert your boundaries. I'll address this first thing tomorrow. By setting limits, you respect your time while balancing professional commitments. Number 3, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. Stoic philosophy reminds us to focus on what we can control. Epictetus taught,
"Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens."
This approach is invaluable under immature leadership. Concentrate on aspects you can influence, such as your work quality, your response to stress, and your interactions with colleagues. Recognizing what's beyond your control helps prevent burnout. List what's within your power, like the accuracy of your work or the clarity of your communication. This practice helps anchor you even amidst eternal unpredictability. Number 4. Document everything. Misunderstandings and blame shifting often happens with immature leaders. Documentation provides protection and clarifies responsibility. Make a habit of summarizing conversations in follow-up emails. This provides clarity and an objective record in case conflict arises. For example, follow up with an email. To confirm our discussion, I'll proceed with X. This reduces potential blame and reinforces mutual understanding. Number 5. Build a supportive network. Navigating immature leadership can feel isolating, but peer connections provide solidarity and practical advice. Jung believed that we thrive as part of a supportive group or the whole. Connect with trusted colleagues who share similar experiences. Regular check-ins provide space to share perspectives and strategies. Organize a brief meeting with trusted peers. This camaraderie can relieve stress, offer encouragement, and remind you that you're not alone. And finally, step 6. Focus on integrity and values. In an environment with immature leadership, staying true to your values helps you maintain professionalism and peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Reflect on the values you want to embody, like respect, patience, or diligence. Keep these front and center as you navigate the workplace. After a challenging day, ask, "Did I act according to my values?" This reflection keeps you grounded and helps prevent frustration from affecting your behavior. One can only wonder why the man or woman child prevails in many senior leadership positions. Maybe it's something to do with the unfailing self-belief that sometimes the child has that reflects itself in the leader as they aspire to the top. In truth, working for the full leader is so much more engaging. Navigating life under a man-child or woman-child in leadership is challenging. Still, with some of these strategies, we can preserve your well-being and professionalism. The teachings of Goleman, Jung, and the Stoics show us that while we may not change immature leaders, we can change how we respond to them. By focusing on our own growth, resilience, and integrity, we can help create a more stable and positive environment. As we grow in emotional intelligence and self-awareness, we become leaders who uplift and inspire, setting an example for others, even in the face of leadership that may fall short. Mind the Gap.
That was the Mind the Gap podcast. It was presented by Michael Comin. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends about it. You'll find more information and episode notes on www.mindthegap.ie.